The Supreme Court yesterday dropped this 9-0 decision that said Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was unlawfully and erroneously, by ICE's own admission, sent to El Salvador, is in SICOT, is married to a citizen, was legally here, was wrongfully detained and deported, that he must be returned, effectuated. And it seems like possibly now the Trump administration is trying to weasel out of this, even when, I mean, this is a hand-picked Supreme Court for the most part. This is according to Eric Lee, attorney on Twitter. The Trump administration tells the court in the Alien Enemies Act case of Abrego Garcia that it won't share information as to the steps it's taking to repatriate Abrego Garcia, effectively rejecting the court order. They're saying the court hasn't clarified what it means to facilitate or effectuate the return as it relates to this case, as plaintiff is in the custody of a foreign sovereign. Defendants request and require the opportunity to brief that issue prior to being subject to any compliance deadlines. And defendants in this case is the White House, is DHS, is the federal government. Maybe just, I know that I've hit you with a lot just up top, but like, give me a reaction to the ruling and to the possibility that the Trump administration will not comply with their own Supreme Court.
It doesn't surprise me that they're not trying to comply with this court order. In 2022, actually, the Supreme Court issued a decision that said courts cannot compel the government to comply with the law when they violated immigration laws. So we're already in a situation where the executive can violate immigration laws basically with impunity. I was actually surprised to see this decision, but the implications of having a decision not like this would have been really dangerous, because this guy was not deportable, sent to a foreign gulag. And if the Trump administration had not been ordered to bring him back, that could happen to any one of us. It could happen to a US citizen, and then the Trump administration can just say, you know, they're in the custody of a foreign sovereign, we don't have to bring them back. So I think it's really important that the Supreme Court, especially unanimously, has ordered the Trump administration to bring this man back. But the fact that they're dragging their feet or trying to weasel out of it absolutely does not surprise me. And I think it's really a preview of what we can expect during this administration. I really think they're going to try to defy the courts in any way they can.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. You know, yesterday, his wife, Jennifer Vasquez Sura, was on Capitol Hill, and I was heartened to see that she actually met, or that, you know, electeds, Democrats specifically, met with her, because I think a lot of us are asking, where the hell are the Dems on this?
Where have they been?
Yeah.
Where have they been? Even during the Biden administration, it wasn't all, you know, roses. It was the immigration policy of the Biden administration was really bad in a lot of ways, especially toward asylum seekers. We saw Kamala's campaign was really just like tough on the border and more restrictions. And so I think the Democrats have really bought this like asylum seeker as invader or immigrant as invader rhetoric, and don't seem to really be standing up to the Trump administration. But even if they did, would the Trump administration listen to Congress? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like they feel emboldened with the mandate of 49% to do whatever they want. Here's Caroline Leavitt. Let's see what she had to say regarding all this.
Real quick, the president of El Salvador is coming to the White House on Monday. Does President Trump want him to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia with him?
The Supreme Court made their ruling last night very clear that it's the administration's responsibility to facilitate the return, not to effectuate the return. I believe the Department of Justice just filed another brief in the lower court. I would defer you to that for any updates. But as you mentioned, President Bukele will be here at the White House on Monday to talk about the cooperation that is at an all-time high. And we very much appreciate President Bukele and El Salvador's cooperation and the repatriation of El Salvadorian gang members who the previous administration allowed to infiltrate our country.
Right. And we just got done saying, in fact, you know, things like Title 42. Biden continued to use it. He was sued also over using it to prevent asylum seekers from safely being able to live in the U.S. I mean, so there's so much I want to talk to you about, but just Abrego Garcia is Salvadoran. He
Mhm.
had an asylum case saying, look, if he is deported back to El Salvador, he could end up precisely in some situation like in Secot, being swept up and accused of being a gang member, or the victim of gang violence. If they're in, there is gang violence. We know that not everyone in Secot is a gang member, but just like this level of callousness is, I think, something we haven't seen. And the fact that you've got all the Supreme Court justices saying, yeah, this is not lawful. Can you just remind folks what it means to be lawfully in the United States, but still not have, a green card, or, obviously your papers, or not be naturalized?
There's actually a lot of types of legal status that are not even a path to citizenship. So I think in the case of Kilmar, I think he had withholding of removal, which is kind of like asylum light. Basically says that you cannot be returned to your home country, but you also can never become a resident or citizen of the United States. And you actually can never leave the United States. You just get a work permit every year. So it's a very fragile form of immigration relief, but it is something that is supposed to prevent you from being sent back to your home country. And this is something, again, that I kind of blame the Democrats for, because they've created all of these like parole programs, even DACA, like never creating a path to citizenship for DACA. It's left literally millions of people in a situation where their status can just be taken away from them.
Yeah.
And it really makes me upset when I hear people say, like, why didn't they just apply for citizenship? There's literally no way for a lot of these people to apply for citizenship. There is no path to citizenship. There's just all of these very liminal, very temporary types of legal status that really create a permanent underclass that can, have their safety taken away at any time.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do